Awesome. Well, cool. Yeah. I was talking to the Penrods, right? Is that how I pronounce the last name?
Yeah, yep, yep.
Awesome. And so I was just talking to the Penrods, and this group start at 7, and I want to do my best to start on time. And so it's about 7:01 right now, and I'm really, really, really excited about this group. And so I've hosted one last semester about Pastor Brett's new book. Have y'all heard about Pastor Brett's new book, the
Mm-hmm.
Changeover Principle?
Mm-hmm.
And so that was kind of like the little beginning to doing something outside of marriage ministry, because that is typically uh, the the marriage ministry, or the ministries that I host, not necessarily the ministries, but the life groups that I tend to host. Season after season, I've been hosting marriage ministry groups for a long time with Grace. I would say over the last 11, 12 years, my wife and I have been doing those together. But over the last couple of years, I've just kind of felt the calling to just do something a little different, to connect with people outside of the marriage ministry. As I've been, reading more and more of the word, and just reading other books, secular, and, have secular books, and then Christian books that have a really just strong overlay with business. I've just been wanting to share more and more of that. And funny enough, I'm like, okay, well, let me see who wants to connect about building a business by the book. And oh my goodness, I had over 30 people sign up for that. So super excited about it. So that's what this class is about, or not class, excuse me, this life group. I want it to be as interactive as possible, and I'm gonna have maybe a few videos from time to time. There are a couple of videos that I might not show, that kind of I pulled from or got inspiration from, but ultimately the core of everything I'm going to talk about is going to be pulled initially from the Bible, right? I'm going to have verses. I'm going to have, even some references from, secular books, and then Christian-based books. And I'm going to bring those in. And of course, everything that we do, I want us to scrutinize it as heavily as possible with the word, right? Almost any type of inspiration or thought about building a business, I want to see, if not so much that I want to um, find the Bible to prove my thought, but I want to have, the Bible as the cornerstone, and then that as almost the rediscovered biblical principle. So that's how I'm interpreting a lot of what I see in terms of business and building a business by the book. So that's in essence that quick little intro. And at the same time, it's giving some people to jump on, because as I've been kind of chatting here, I've noticed quite a few people have been jumping on. So really, really excited about it. Actually, all right. So I'm going to go to my notes here. Took some notes. And all right. So I just want to tell you a little bit about me first, to kind of get an idea of who I am, where I'm coming from. So I've been a member of Grace for over 13 years. I remember where the kids ministry is right now, where they have all the rooms. I remember when that was full of pews, even before they had seats, those theater style seating with the seats would fold down. They had pews there. And I remember the day where, they took offerings to turn those pews into theater seats. And we actually prayed over all those pews, because they actually went into a new church. So I remember those times. And I also remember when they had Growth Tracker. I think the membership class used to be in I think it was a 403, way out in that back building where that old church used to be. So there was the old church, and they used to have the membership there, and the pastors and all the staff used to be there and shake your hand when you exited or when you finished that group. And so if any of you remember that, just put like an amen in the chat box, because that was my initial membership class with Grace. And so I've been married 16 years to the same beautiful woman. We got married. I got married young. I got married at 21, and I think she was just turning 22. And we're September babies. And we have three kids: Gianna, Gisela, and Maximo, 11, 8, and 5. And then by trade, I'm a real estate broker. So I've been in real estate for over the last 10 years. I've been in real estate. Just launched my own brokerage over the last year. And I managed a large franchise for over 5 years. And so I did that, and then took all that experience, and then, I'm working and building a brokerage. The other fun things I love doing, I'm a marathon runner and I am becoming a Lego collector of sorts. So if you see right behind me right here, there's like a Lego set. You know, my son loves Legos. And so I'm like, well, since my son loves Legos, that just makes it so much easier for me to buy Legos and build them with him. So that's what I love doing on the side. When I'm not running, building Legos, and when I'm not doing those two things, hanging out with the wife, going on as many date nights. And then I would say my biggest passion is seeing marriages thrive. So that's Matt Reyes in a 2 minute, 3 minute nutshell. And so I hope that gives you insight into who I am and where I'm coming from. And I'm from San Antonio. So if there are any San Antonio peeps on the call, give another shout out there in the info box or the chat box. Okay. So I'm gonna go through quite a few things, and I want to also have some time where we, maybe introduce as many people as possible. Potentially, I know it may get a little interesting with all the people on Zoom, so we might need to parlay it into a people sharing on chat, because the other added benefit of hosting a group like this is being able to network and connect with other business owners or leaders, executives, or other aspiring entrepreneurs, whether you're, just starting out with crafts at the house or doing Amazon FBA or, merchant fulfillment type stuff, or you're just flipping things that you find at, flea markets and thrift stores, and you're selling that to make some extra income, or you're authentically in the trenches building a business, and all for the glory of God, right? So I guess this live group, this Zoom right here, is for you. So I want you to feel welcome. You don't have to be a multi-million-dollar business owner. You can be, an upstart similar to myself. And if you've started one and have some scars from previous businesses, all that is welcome. And we want to be able to, I want to make sure we have time to share all those stories and connect as much as possible. So the other thing I want to be able to do is I'm likely going to create some type of, in the next meeting, a Google Drive form that allows you to put your name, your business type, and then like your contact info. Because again, I want us to be able to connect with each other and find support through grace on platforms like this, and then being able to take this life group to continue to do life with each other, encourage each other, support each other, share ideas. And I think also through this life group, we may even, continue to build our businesses through each other and through our partnerships. So that is, again, the other added benefit, in addition to building our business through biblical principles, which is, again, is the title of this life group. All right. So let me get into some of the other just housekeeping things, right? So we're going to jump in and we're going to start as promptly as we can at 7 each week, right? And in terms of the days that we do host this, I'm going to follow the Humble ISD schedule. So if there's a Tuesday that falls on a day off for the Humble ISD calendar, and if you don't have any kids on the Humble ISD calendar, that is okay. If you go to a different ISD, I'm going to do my best to be as sensitive as possible to the fact that I know a lot of people on this call, myself included, has kids, and when kids are off, it's just a different dynamic. And if you have a 2-parent household like myself, it gets a little bit easy. But if kids are off and you're a single parent house, it just makes it very hard to do a call like this at this hour. So I completely understand, which is why I think we have spring break coming up in the list of sessions, and we're going to take that week off. Also because I'm taking a camping trip that week. So all right. So the next thing I wanted to share is let me see. All right. So let me see. Let me go back to my notes. Yeah, so that was the other thing I wanted to share, just kind of going through those things. And also follow, if you do have the Life Center or the Grace Church app, or if you log on to that system, I'm going to do my best to post all the resources that we use. Like, for example, this Zoom link. If how many of you received the text? Yes. Okay, cool. Hopefully you didn't get like, it's like another spam guy, wanting to sell me a car warranty or something like that. So that link should be the same link and I'm going to do my best to keep that updated. If it doesn't get updated, or if it's not the right link, please tell me as soon as possible so I can mass email everybody. The mass texting is actually, I send those individually, and that is my cell phone number. So if you have any questions about the group, you can just text that number directly, save it as Matt Reyes, and I'll be happy to answer any questions or connect you with somebody that you may have remembered on the feed and you had a side conversation with. So that would be that there. All right, so let's keep going. Other housekeeping. All right. Okay. Yeah. So those are the housekeeping things. Any questions so far? You good to go? All right. Good to go. Great. Okay. Let's keep going. Okay. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to dive in to really some of the initial purpose. I'm going to go through that purpose again for this group, right? So the purpose of this group is to understand that God was the first, best, and most efficient entrepreneur, right? His first business was the most successful business, right? And he's a business builder. And that is really my ultimate inspiration. I'm like, if God, saw the void of this place and created all this stuff in about 7 days, with intentionality, with purpose, with vision, I believe we can take what he did and lay that over building a business either from scratch or from inspiration, or taking an already existing business and create it in a way that fits our family dynamic, fits your lifestyle, or fits your vision, according to the way God has done it. So that is my vision for this group, and my why for this group is sharing and taking what I'm learning through reading the Bible and sharing that with you. So again, we're going to take biblical principles and apply them to business, business building a business, business operation, business marketing, business sales, and leadership. Right. So all those facets, I personally have observed, and I'm sure you have too, by reading the Bible. You've observed like some marketing strategies, some sales strategies by reading the Word. And if not, I encourage you to just pray about that. Like pray about the Lord giving you insight and wisdom to just allow you to see the Word in a new light, because this book has so much wisdom, and it's almost impossible to read the same passage the same way twice, right? So if just wherever you are in your walk with God, I'm sure you have experienced that thing where you read a passage and you read it, a month or two later, and you're like, man, I didn't see that there the first time. And I'm sure if you then ask him to open your eyes to, business strategies, business principles, and anything you're really searching for, you will find it in the Bible. So I got a question earlier on text, and it asked, it's like, hey, is there any, book, or is there any material that we need to purchase or, download? And I said, hey, the primary material that we will have is reading the Word. And that is honestly what we will do, moving forward. So I'm also going to go into some Bible verses here. So if you want to take some notes, you can then use these, Bible verses to then use as your inspiration later. And so the purpose of today's meeting is really starting with why, right? Why are you in business, or what is the why behind you building the business that you're doing, right? Whether there's an immediate why of, hey, I need to make this business work because I need income, right? I need to pay rent, I need to pay bills, I need to get the kids through college. Or there's a bigger, not necessarily a bigger calling, but your calling for that business, or your why for that business, then graduates into something a little bit greater, right? And in terms of hiring employees, because your why, the bigger your why is, the more people will fit into your why, right? And we're going to go into that here. So anybody resonating with that so far? Yeah. All right. Awesome. Cool. All right, so it's going to start with God had a why, right? And I'm going to have verses for everything, right? Not again, it's not that I'm fitting the Bible into the worldview. The worldview, in my opinion, has rediscovered what the Bible already put in, right? So I think God started with why when he did everything, right? Because his why is John 3:16. His why is, for God so loved the world that he gave his only son, that whoever believes in him shall not perish but have eternal life. And the reason I wanted to start with why, and as I was starting and launching this life group, I was like, man, Lord, I was just thinking, what should I start with? And to be honest, one of the phrases that came to mind is start with why. And how many of you are familiar with Simon Sinek's Start with Why? Anybody? Okay, so I'm going to post that link in some of the resources in the church thing. So because I don't want to get too distracted with posting stuff here in the immediate. So I'm going to share some of those links to YouTube. But to be honest, if you just go to YouTube sometime later today and you just type in "Start with Why" Simon Sinek, you'll find it. It is one of the most viewed, basic fundamental starting points for people that want to start with their why and run business. So God did that, right? John 3:16, for he so loved the world and that he gave his only begotten son, right? And so within there, it goes into the why, what, and the how. Like within that first verse, right? Like, why did he do it? Because he loved the world. What did he do? He gave his only son. And how? So that we won't perish, right? That is the how, that we believe in the son. That's the how. And so it's like, okay, cool. Like that whole verse encompasses everything, right? But I think we can go into more detail about God's what, right? God, what did he do, right? And I think, yeah, I believe that one of the best verses that encompasses or encapsulates the what God did is Colossians 1 verses 16 through 17. And it says, for by him all things were created that are in heaven and are on earth, visible and invisible, whether thrones or dominions, principalities or powers, all things were created through him and for him. And he is before all things, and in him all things consist. Right. So I think that is ultimately the what. What did God do? He created all things through his son. Okay. But how then, right? How is he then going to show us all his love? And what he did right here is, but God showed his great love for us by sending his son Christ, right? And for Christ died for us while we were yet still sinners. And since we have been made right in God's sight by the blood of Christ, we have he will certainly save us from God's condemnation. Now that was amazing, right? So all those things God did, right? His why, his what, and his how are right there present in his word. And then we can find and continue to reinforce that throughout the entire Bible. Now you're like, okay, that sounds great, but what are some examples in application, right? What does that look like in real life? Now, I think we can go back to one of the most notable companies, and this is the example that Simon Sinek used in his talk, right? With Apple. Most companies, they initially start with their what, right? We make awesome cars. Okay, well, how? We use the best processes. They have the best gas mileage. And then, okay, big deal. Like, okay, what now? We'll buy our car. Like, that's why we do it, is so you can buy our car and we can make money. But I think Apple did it a little differently. They said, we revolutionized the computer industry, right? Or we want to be revolutionaries. And they say how? They build products that are just better. And how do they do that? With just better technology. And so I think, Simon Sinek said it really well, explaining the whole process of Apple. They started with their why. Many people buy the products of Apple, not necessarily in some cases because they're better. They are in some cases. I think the iPhone is starting to show its wear. In my opinion, I'm an Android guy. I think the camera on other Samsung phones is better. But I think the point I'm trying to make is that people buy Apple because one, it says a little bit about you, right? People buy things in some cases for the way it makes them feel or for the image it conveys, not necessarily for the super high functionality. Because in some cases, if you're using an Apple phone, you almost can't have Android friends, or you can't text anybody that's on Android. It's like, yeah, I can't text you. You're Android. Sorry. Maybe we can be friends in another lifetime, but as long as you have an Android, I ain't your friend. Um, that's all jokes aside, but apparently it's like hard to text people, right? Or you can't heart stuff because it retexts everything, right? So, but anyways, the point I'm trying to make is Apple started with why, and it created a crazy frenzy. I mean, Apple's why is the reason why for so many years and almost every single iPhone launch, people stand in line, right? So then if we go back to our business, why we're building our business, I think that's the question we need to then start with. And I want to share with you my why in terms of why I went from the big franchise, operation to launching my own business. And so my big why is being able to provide an economic model for real estate agents that enables them to reinvest in themselves. And so, I think you can continue to refine your why to get a more efficient and more effective why. But for me, that was why I transitioned out of that, because I think there are better models that agents can operate their business. And so that was, the way I did it. Does anybody have any thoughts on that they wanted to share? I wanted to make sure that just people have some opportunity to chat and have conversation about, maybe their why, or maybe about their business or their, journey that they wanted to, share with us.
Hey, Matthew.
Hey, how's it going?
Good, good. So I'm with Tony Chicas. We're actually spouses, but we have a different screen. We're just, I guess, classy like that. I don't know.
That's cool.
Mm, but my why has been, I guess it has been as I've gotten closer to God, He's shown me what my why is. So I do boudoir photography, and one of the things that I have encountered with God is that He heals through photography. So whenever I photograph women, I tell them my testimony, um, and also I help them see how God sees them through photography. So it has been, I guess you could say, my mission now, and I'm in the process of even interviewing women that have overcome certain things in their life, and through photography, I've been able to find that journey.
That is so cool. That's so cool. I love that. And there's other examples. There's an example of what you shared right there that I think feeds into and reinforces that point that what we do is really just a conveyor belt to continue to do the why. Because in the word it says we're all called to be salt of the earth, right? And I think
Right.
what we do it well and efficiently. That gives us the opportunity and a platform to then encounter and interact with more people. So the more efficient our business, the more people we can then interact with, to then one be just an example of Christ, or to interact and have conversations about Christ, or to point to Christ in some capacity. I believe is one of the purposes of our business. And I have a verse, or not a verse, but a story, is Stephen from the Bible, right? Do y'all remember Stephen? Right? He was, he was martyred, right, by Saul. And but if we look back before that, before he gave one of the most efficient speeches, the most purposeful and impactful sermons in the Bible. If you look back at when he got, I guess, what his responsibilities were, he was responding to a need within the church. The need was to serve the believers that were coming into the church, right? He was serving, and that's what his primary role, that's what his serving capacity, or that's what his work was, to serve believers, right? To serve them food and to provide that, and to provide that service. But he was still called, and then if you read a few verses later, it said he was telling people about Christ. And then that's when he came into that altercation that ultimately led to him being martyred. So I think our what is then a platform for our why. And again, his why was to share the gospel. His what was to serve, people that were coming through, hearing the message. So, but that is beautiful, sharing that. Anybody else kind of connected with, maybe God's big why and his what and his how, and kind of found that and resonated a little bit with what you're doing in your business? Anybody? I did mute everybody. So if you are talking, just know you need to be unmuted. So just kind of throwing that out there. I'm not ignoring anybody. I just muted everybody at first because there was kind of a lot of stuff. So just make sure you unmute when you want to chat.
There's a verse in the Bible that always struck me. I forget whether it's Proverbs or Psalms. It says that we are to create a legacy for our second generation. So not just for our direct children, but our children's children. So we're supposed to build something that lives beyond us, that serves our future family, but also serves God. I'll find out what the Bible verses are and I'll share that with the group.
Oh, that's good. Yes, sir. Yeah, and I think that's good. So as I want to be able to continue to kind of like as you start reading, I guess with that purpose in mind, bring some of those verses that inspired you um within your business specifically, because I think those are almost the most impactful. That's almost like a business testimony. Like when you're reading your word and you have this business struggle or this business, triumph, that as you're reading your word, it just pulls you back to that moment. Like, hey, well, the Lord did that. Here's an example in the word of it happening before, or just whatever inspiration you're finding as you're reading and as you're building your business. Just bring that into this group and share it. I want to make sure we have time to discuss any of that. So does anybody want to share their big why? Like maybe a thought, or what motivated them to launch their business?
Hi, this is Mary. My why is quite similar to what you just mentioned about building for future generations and things. But then also, I want to be able to um, show God's works through what I'm doing, and I pray to be able to bring others to Christ by showing them if I put God first, this is how it works. This is the way I've been working and how I've been able, because I always have gotten questions around how have you been able to do the things that you've been able to do? Well, there's a lot of prayer and dedicating my time and learning God's words and his ways and things of that nature. So similar, but then also I'm hoping I can exhibit and be an image of God in what I'm doing.
Cool. And Mary, what's your business, if you don't mind sharing?
So I recently started up a HR consulting business. So I support small groups and medium-sized company in all things HR.
Awesome. So hiring process, the whole nine.
Yeah, leadership
Payroll.
development. Yeah.
Great, great, cool. So how many, I guess, how many on here already have a business that they're launching? Like maybe you can put a little note in here and just kind of mention. I will make it more formal. I will. I'll make a Google form and send it to everybody so they can fill out. So again, I'm going to create this little database for us to then source. How many are looking for a business to start? Maybe I should even go there. How many of you are looking for something new, for something different? Okay. So if you're looking for something new, just type in new in the chat box. Looking for something new. Hey, it says the Lord wants to do a new thing, right? And that can be somebody's verse for this season. All right, let's see. All right, Oscar. Okay, so hey, Oscar. So let's see. I want to chat with you for a little bit. So, what are some things or some business ideas that you're processing through right now? So maybe we can kind of mastermind together, and people can throw in the chat things that then, as you're talking, will maybe bring some inspiration, and they can put some notes in this chat box for you. So, what are some things through your why that you're processing through that you might launch here in the near future?
Hi, good afternoon, everybody. Yes, so yes, it's same as that we're talking about from the passage. Leave something for our generations and something to also just honor our parents, because we want to do better than what they provided from us. So I work. I have a career at a chemical plant. I've been working for 10 years, but I do want to been thinking about rental equipment. I've seen like rental trailers or just rental light towers, things like that. That a business like that, something a second income and probably a main income in the future. That's one of the things that I'm thinking about. That I'm think I can be good at and grow into a business. And the why, it's something to just help out also, because it helps out because some people may not, you know, for rental equipment, people might need, you know, just some equipment to finish a job or something like that, and it's just mainly to live and see my full potential as a business, as a man, and just leave something from my future children, and just make my parents proud that what I'm doing with my life and live my full potential.
That's awesome. That's awesome. So then from here, anybody have any thoughts that they maybe want to share on, because you almost like, it's almost with most people, we have the ideas. Sometimes it's the start. So what would you say, Oscar, is the number one thing that's like keeping you from pulling the trigger or launching?
So right now it's just I have never had a business. That's my thing. I have never had a business. So basically I just don't know where to start.
Okay.
I have some friends that they have business and just, you know, like yeah, you might start with a couple trailers, and then as you're buying them, or you know, kind of finance them, and they pay as they go, and start with something like that. But that's the main reason I'm getting more information from like that, from just reading about business and things like that.
That's good. That's good. There are definitely a lot of what I think would be great for us to do in this next meeting are to bring some resources or sources of maybe websites or even videos that you know, I would say are have a more biblical inspiration. If they're a little more secular, that's okay too. I just want, whether it's secular or biblical, being able to then prove what they're saying, right? That it is biblical. Whatever. I want us to bring some resources that we can share with each other in our next meeting next week, of things that have inspired us or that have helped us in that business planning process, right? Like for example, Oscar, right? You're wanting to do this trailer business. I would imagine the number one thing you need are people who need those types of services, right? So that's almost a type of sales aspect, right? And I noticed lawn care services. Hey, if Mr. Axe Lawn Care, if Andres needed another trailer, you may be somebody he could partner with, right? In the future. At the same time, some of those strategies, like for example, the photography, there was a skincare. We all need to have networking skills, marketing skills, and sales skills, right? And I have in our coming conversations, I'm going to share with you just some of the principles that are in the word that says, no, these are things that we should be doing. God did it first. Everybody else rediscovered it, and they're implementing biblical principles. That's why it's working. And so what I was going to say is, I think, let me clarify what I was saying is, whatever has been inspiring you in your business journey, bring at least one link or one video or one website, whatever, or a book that you're currently or have used in the past, currently using now, or have used in the past, that has inspired you or has helped you in your journey. And I would like us to then share that with each other in our next meeting. So I think that would be something of really great value. So anybody have any other thoughts of things that they want to take or receive or even share in this group? And anybody want to jump in and share? Hey, like let me give one example, like things that you want to really hear and talk about, because I want to make sure I meet the expectations, because initially I know a lot of us may have expectations of this group. And I want to be able to meet as many of those expectations, because really all you had was a cool graphic and a little description of what this group was going to be about. And as we continue to move through the sessions, I want to make sure I meet and exceed those expectations, not just me, but the Lord bringing inspiration of exceeding those expectations, and us maintaining, you know, membership throughout this season, throughout the semester of this life group. So I guess let me just ask the question, right? So what are your expectations for this group? You can either share by talking, or you can share by posting in the comments. Either one is welcome.
I would love to learn how to run a business. I'm a chemical engineer and I had an engineering firm for years. I know engineering like the back of my hand, but I'm a survivor of domestic abuse and I lost everything, my savings, I lost my job, my career, but I can make anything. I mean, I can make, so I've actually reversed pattern baldness for men and women and things like that.
Oh,
So
wow.
I can do anything because I learned everything I need to know as a chemical engineer. So I did this business for free for 2.5 years and I made a lot of money doing it for free. But turning this into a business has been a big challenge because I'm also going blind. I only have 5% of my vision left. And so I can't go back to work as engineering. So it's like there's no plan B. This is it. But I don't know how to make this into a business. And I didn't think it would be challenging because I did it for 2.5 years.
Mm-hmm.
So that's what I would need from this group.
That's good. Like finding efficiencies or finding what the next step is to, grow it or scale it, something to that effect.
Yes, I can grow and scale it, but I don't know how to sell. I don't know how to get clients and things
Oh,
like that.
okay. I see.
But
That's
I can
true.
definitely scale and
Okay.
do all of that side.
So it's almost the client acquisition part, the sales part, right? The,
That's the
the,
sales. I don't know how to sell. I have no idea how to sell anything.
perfect. Perfect.
I would say it would maybe broader than that, maybe more a mentorship program.
Okay.
So somebody's done this before, somebody's already made all the mistakes, so she can learn from them.
Okay.
Right.
It
Because
can, it
I've
can be
certainly made a
both.
lot of mistakes.
I definitely think those are all well within the scope, right?
Mhm.
So, some sales strategies, some lead generation strategies, and I have one, I'm going to share in another. I'm not going to give all the verses away today, guys. I want to keep y'all coming for more. How God made a lead funnel. Y'all know lead funnels? Okay. If you don't know lead funnels, we're going to talk about it here, and I'm going to have a Bible verse that I believe was my like, oh my gosh, it's a giant lead funnel. So I'm going to share that in a coming class. I think we all need lead funnels. And lead funnels are in many different forms that can come from going to conferences, networking events. This could be somebody's lead funnel to a degree, just sharing what they're doing. A lead is just somebody who's interested in your business. That's all it is. And I know the word lead funnel, some of those words can be icky because they've been salesified and they've been, just beaten, they've just been abused, some of these terms. But I'm going to bring them back, right? Because the Lord did everything first and everything is his. And so we're gonna re-envision, how the Lord does business. So I have and I'm glad you said that. About the people that have been there and done that, because I am going to have some guest speakers on this. So there are going to be some guest speakers that are going to be peppered throughout this life group. I'm going to have one gentleman already that he said he'd be willing to jump on, and hopefully we can get the schedules to align, who has built a successful business and sold a business. And so we're going to talk about that. And we're going to talk about the seasonality of that when it's right for you. Maybe it's a time, maybe it's not, but we're going to talk about that in a coming one, and he's going to be the guest speaker on that. So what are some other things, some other expectations you have? So I have somebody that just wrote reporter, blogger, nonprofit, corporate, global companies. I love storytelling and I want to have my own client base. I'm not sure if this is the right group, but I want to write my own children's book. Okay, cool. Yeah, I love that. I mean, all that can be a product, like blogging can be a product of even this group, right? I'm going to write a blog about what we talked about today. Yeah, so if anything, Miss Jeanette, tell me a little bit more about that. So do you want the business to be children's books, or do you want it to be corporate nonprofit relations?
That's a great question. I really haven't narrowed down who I want my audience to be. So I also work or volunteer at the church. I teach the third graders on Sundays. So I have a big heart for youth. I've done so much community work on top of working in different communications type of work environment. Sorry, I have my daughter here in the background. So I know my dream for sure for the longest time has been to serve our youth and to write children's books. And I'll tell you why. I'm a single parent. I've been a single parent for 11 years now. And I don't see a lot of children's books that cater to children growing up in single parent homes. So that's been in my heart for a very long time. But the storytelling aspect has just been a part of me since as long as I can remember. And I think it all comes down to my heart for serving the community. I love and have worked for companies that give back to the community. So, um, what led me to become a reporter was the opportunity to tell stories of those who are, vulnerable, need help within the community and amplify their voices. So I'm just very passionate about giving those who wouldn't have a voice otherwise, a chance to tell their story.
That's awesome. That is really, really cool. So yeah, there definitely seems to be a lot of opportunity with the things with the opportunities before you, the things that you're interested in, and the children's book idea. Yeah, I can definitely see that, just making it, and with the right purpose behind it, and planning all those items. So yeah, that's great. Thank you so much for sharing. Anybody else have some thoughts or expectations? Yes, Miss Erica.
Jeanette, I can probably help you with that. If you want, I've done 3 books. So I hopefully I can offer some insight there. But one of the things that I am hoping for out of this group is a little bit of support and accountability. So as each of us are talking about taking these steps, just checking in with each other to say, how's that going? What goals have you set? Have you hit your goals this week? Just to push each other, to not just have a dream, but to actually start walking toward it. So even if there are small goals, to say, okay, I'm going to get my business plan written out this week. The next week, say, by the way, you said you were going to do that business plan. Did you do it? Just to make sure that, we are actually trying to walk forward on the path that we want to, and help be accountable to each other. So that's maybe one thing that I know would help me. And if you guys are interested, my business that I'm working on is actually event and lifestyle based. I am a crafter or a maker. What I think they like to call us makers. So unlike Angela, I can't make anything chemically, but I can make anything else.
Right.
You give me some masking tape and some paper clips, and I will build you a house. And so I love doing that. My passion lies in events and making things very grand and over the top. So I am trying to push myself into that area. I'm not sure if I want to be an event planner per se, but I'm thinking party packages. So to provide, if someone wants a grand event, but they really don't have the budget for it, because everyone can't afford to throw a $10,000 party for their kid, but they like the look and they want that. So my idea was to set up a kit that they can purchase for a smaller fee, that you can just do it yourself at home. It has instructions and all of that stuff. So that's kind of where I'm looking to go. I haven't really seen much of that out there in the market, and I think there's a gap there, because everyone, like myself included, I can't hire an event planner. So all of my over the top designs I do myself, and so.
I love that. That's really cool. Yeah, I mean, that's a great idea. I do think that that'll definitely hit with all the kids parties. People love having, their kids with theme parties. That's a great idea. I think that's an awesome idea.
Thank you.
So far we have accountability, people who have been there and done that with businesses. So hearing some firsthand examples, maybe some sales and marketing strategies. Anything else that some expectations you have for this group?
Yeah, man, I just put out there moving from a hobby to a business.
Okay, moving from a hobby to a
Veronica.
business. That's good.
Yeah.
That's good.
So I have started making baby quilts or
Okay.
toddler quilts, and I personalize them, possibly putting the child's name on there if there's a particular theme. So I actually started doing the quilts through Sewing Seeds, which was one of our life groups, and I just stuck with it. So that's where I am now. And I have had some orders, but now that I have time on my hands because I'm not working, and I'm really leaning towards that because I see now that where I was before, I was stressed. And so sometimes I think that me not working there was actually God's way of pushing me out because it was time for me to go. And I knew it, but I knew that I had gotten comfortable. But sometimes he puts you in those uncomfortable places to show you that there's more.
Mm,
And so I noticed that a lot of times when I'm making these quilts, I'm praying over every stitch and the tapestry and for the child. And, there's been some occasions where I'll look, what the child's name means. And then I'll, embroider the meaning of the names, on those quilts. And so it's just as I forget who it was, Sylvia's husband said, leaving a legacy for your children's children. Well, I've noticed a lot of times, and I'm thinking that maybe the parents are going to wrap the kids up in the quilts, but a lot of times they'll hang them up or they'll show them off to their family members.
yeah.
And then they have them as the decoration. So, and my scripture that I had kind of gotten on to was in the book of Acts, where Lydia, and she's mentioned as the woman who sold purple, and how she met Paul, and through her meeting with him, she and her household was saved.
Mm.
So I just look at the whole thing and I'm like, okay, Lord, okay, so Lydia was a businesswoman. How did she do it? you know,
Yeah.
because there's very few people in my family that I'm able to model a business after. Most everybody always works for
Mm.
someone else. So that's where I am. How to start up the mentoring, starting from the very, very beginning.
Awesome. Yeah, for sure. Okay. So I got my notes written. I have some people in mind that I might reach out to get some guest speakers on our Zoom call here. And any other thoughts? I mean, we're coming up to 7:50. I want to make sure we don't really extend back past really like the hour, so I can make sure I respect y'all's time as well. Any other thoughts? We have some time here for some conversation, some thoughts, questions.
Matt, I have one.
One of my, oh, sorry.
Sorry about that. I have one. So it's more of a two-part for me. So one is personal brand, personal business I'm trying to achieve, and it's more so of writing a book. So like a few others on the call, I have just a story of how me and my wife and our family have broken a lot of generational curses. For just quick synopsis of it. I came from, a very broken family and a very, very broken home, came up from doing a lot of different things. And God has kind of changed me in a way to go a right path and become the man that he needs me to be, not only for my household, but for my kids too. So breaking those generational curses were big. And it's just been a big thing, a big seed that's been in me. So writing a book about that has really been my goal to try to get that done this year. number two, just within my professional career, we started a small business group that caters to small businesses within the construction industry, and we are looking for more lead generation. So we found them through different platforms and different CRMs and customer relation systems that we've been working with, but finding different lead generating systems that we could use that could possibly yield us results. We've tried a few different ones, but I feel like we haven't really tapped into it yet. So those would be my two things.
Okay, so kind of some technology that may be beneficial to sourcing and finding some leads and new opportunities.
Absolutely.
Okay, cool. And then somebody put on here, a list of businesses with names, services, products. Yes, and I'm going to work on. I was talking about that earlier, that I was going to put together a Google form that allows people to put their name, business, business objectives, what they do, and then contact information, and then have that as a type of spreadsheet, something kind of easy, not too crazy and complicated. And even if you have maybe a link to a website, putting it in that Google form, so then we can go and hunt you down, maybe put a review in there for you. So I'll make sure to work on that Google form for next time, or I'll likely have it in the resources for us. So again, continue to check that resource thing probably every few days or so, or a few days leading up to our next meeting. Somebody else was going to say something. I think a couple people were trying to talk at the same time.
Yeah, if no one else, go ahead.
Go ahead.
Okay, I was just going to mention if we can touch a little bit on the finance aspect, just to give you a little background. So the way I grew up, our family didn't really have much. Now that I'm a business owner, I'm accumulating funds, but there's always like that guilt on the inside as far as like, okay, now I'm making this much, I'm making more than my parents. How to overcome that past that kind of lingers there, and how to honor God with what we do and with the finances that He's given us.
That's good. That's really good. And quick little thought that came to me is, of course, guilt is not of the Lord. I do believe that's the enemy trying to hold you back from what He's calling you and how He's allowing you to just move in this new business venture that you have. So definitely, pray over that guilt and have that spirit leave, have it filled with the Holy Spirit. And then I do believe it's also just being a good steward of what you are doing. But that's good that you have that feeling, or I guess that burden to go and find places to be a good steward of the money that you are making. So I'll be sure to kind of put some of that stuff in and incorporate some of that as we move forward. And then there was somebody else that mentioned something.
Yes, so it's me. Like I just want to share something like my journey real quick. So if anybody wants to know like how to start the business, this was a challenge for me. We started in 2020 during COVID, and I used to sales rep, be a sales rep for someone. So I got on my own, and I had to start from the bottom. I knew the market, and I knew the customers, and I knew the leads. So that kind of helped me just go after. But I have to, like, when being on the sales rep shoes part, it's different from being a owner, because there's so many other things that you're on the other side. So I have to worry about other things, but it has been a great journey. And if anybody, like I'm doing a 6 or 7 people's job right now. Like I'm doing bookkeeping, I'm doing sales, I'm doing invoicing. I go in my workshop, and I go see customers, and I deal with vendors, and I deal with everything. So it's not that I don't want to pay 7 people's salary. It's just that I don't have time to I just haven't given myself the time to look for more team players, I guess.
Yeah.
So if anybody wants to know, or how to start from the bottom, I did register. I had to register the company, and I have to I learned how I didn't know what a bookkeeping was, so I have to do that for my own, and so all that. So I just wanted to share.
Awesome. No, thanks so much, Marco. Appreciate that. Yeah, definitely. It is definitely a journey going from, employee to business owner and then navigating all those things. I mean, of course it's fun and exciting, but then sometimes the wind gets taken out by all the paperwork that you just have to process just to become, like an LLC or to register your business, and if you have an employee, you have to do the Texas Workforce Commission, and you have to then check with the government and what are my taxes? And if you didn't have any employees, but you had one time, then you then have to say you had no employees. And it's just, I mean,
Right.
those things it's a lot. It's a lot. So we're going to go through as much of that as we can. And of course, the goal, I would say one of the biggest goals of the Life Group is to get people connected with each other. So again, the number one thing I'm going to work on is to get a list of just who we are and to get it in each of y'all's hands or each of y'all's inboxes, or so you can download and do with it as you will to connect with others, like-minded individuals. So it says God takes pleasure. Miss Veronica says God takes pleasure in the prosperity of his people to establish his covenant in the earth. That's good. That is
I
good.
can't remember if it's in Psalms or Proverbs, because I've been standing on that scripture. So I've just been reciting that to myself. And so when my sister said that she was feeling guilty, like you said, that is not from God.
Mm-hmm.
Because if he is establishing prosperity in you, then that's to take your circles, your environment to a whole different level. And it touches everybody that's
That's great. That's great. Thanks, Veronica, for that. That's
you're welcome.
awesome.
I'll find it. I know I have it in like one of these little books that I carry around. I'll have it next time, but I have a different Bible next to me, and I know that's not the wording in this Bible that I have.
Awesome.
But that's it. It's either Psalms or Proverbs. It's one of the two.
Awesome. All right. Well, cool. And I know this, Miss Erica has the hand up and Marco has a hand up. I want to
Yep.
make sure I got those. We're good.
I just wanted to add on to what Maria was saying earlier about finances, not just what to do once we have, once we start living in that blessing and start getting the finances that we want, or that we're looking to make, but as we start the businesses, those of us who have not really ventured out into financing the business itself. A lot of us don't really have, bank accounts or whatever to where we can self-fund businesses. So if anyone has resources or can, I'm happy to do some research and bring that next time to just share how to source funding for the businesses that we want to start, whether it's grants or SBA or, stuff like that. I think that would be helpful for people who are trying to get out there who don't really understand how to fund their business. It could be helpful information to have.
That's great. Yeah. And anybody, please feel welcome to where if you did, say, hey, I know that, but I don't have the resources right at hand to share, or, because we're kind of coming up to the close. If you know intimately any of those things that, these people are saying, hey, well, I have a question about this, or I have a question about that, or this is what I want to hear. Feel free to get some of those resources together. Let me know so I can make sure that within my agenda of each time we're meeting that I can allocate some of that time to give you an opportunity to share on some of those things, right? Because this isn't us. This is a life group. We are doing life together, talking about business. It says in the word that we need to be good stewards of what he's put us to do, and do all things unto the Lord. So we want to do things to the best of our ability. And so, yeah. So then the homework is, right? We got homework is, maybe bring a Bible verse, bring a resource that inspires you. Or if you felt the pull on your heart for something that you heard from somebody saying, hey, I want to get some of this from the group, then bring it. or maybe we can definitely fit it into the, the sessions that we're having. So we can, maybe next week, it may not necessarily be the finance one, but I'll, map it out to where we can talk about as many or, definitely as much of these topics as we can over the next few weeks together. So, well, I'm excited about this. I'm definitely excited. Who's excited? Yay or yay? Yeah.
I am.
All right. So thanks so much, everybody. Look for that Google form. I'm probably going to send it via email. And if you don't get it via the email, because I think one of the persons, the email may have not been correct. So you may want to double check that, but it was only one person. So if you receive the emails, then you're getting the emails. If you're not getting emails and you did register on that church app or the website, then and you made it to this, that just means your email's incorrect if you're not getting emails, because I've sent emails and texts. All right, friends. So I look forward to chatting with y'all next time. See y'all Tuesday at 7, and feel free to invite somebody else that's not at Grace, because again, our biggest purpose is to spread the love of God. And if this little, time that we're spending together, they hear a Bible verse and realize, oh my gosh, God's the best business builder, that could potentially bring them to Christ. Hey, we need to make sure we create opportunities for God to work in other people's hearts. So stay blessed, guys, and have a good night.
Night.